Today's video is about the 5 most common mistakes that you are making when you are trying to grow your career. First up, mistake number 1. You don't communicate your career goals. This is the most overlooked error. You're excelling at your job, your boss is saying that you're doing really great, people are looking to you for support and help, you're doing amazing. And in your mind, you're thinking, look at me, I'm doing great, my boss knows I'm amazing, they know what I'm aiming for, this is so good for my career. However, if you haven't had a conversation with your manager or leader of what you're aiming for with your career, don't assume they know what it is. You are potentially missing out on opportunities by not communicating exactly what it is you're aiming for. Often your manager will know of other opportunities, projects, or work that could align with what it is that you're aiming for. However, if you haven't had a conversation with them about, hey, this is what I'm interested in, this is where I'm going, really need some support, or at least want to make you aware of what it is, then you're potentially missing out on a well of information and support that they could be offering you. I can say from my own experience, team members who are great at their jobs, support their colleagues, do really well, are engaged, are the dream employee. If I have one of those and they're just cruising along doing the best that they can and doing a great job, I'm assuming, unless they're telling me otherwise, that they are happy in their work and they are exactly where they want to be. Now, while I might make a conscious decision with my team that I'm going to have a coaching conversation to ask them what they want, not every manager will be doing this. And maybe the timing of when I do this isn't the right time for the employee. So you need to be proactive about approaching your manager and actually having that direct conversation with them too. Now, just in case you think, oh, this mistake does not apply to me, here's some little things that could highlight that maybe it does. Number 1, red flag. You resent your boss for not knowing what it is that you want. Number 2, you are watching your colleagues and peers get put forward for promotion and you are not. Number 3, you assume that they do not see you as management material despite not having had this conversation. And number 4, your confidence is completely in the gutter and you're pretty sure that you're going nowhere. This is actually quite common. We get all caught up in our heads with what we think is going on and what we think others are thinking about us, including our boss, that we overlook that little minor thing that we actually haven't had that conversation that can communicate clearly about what it is that we want, so that then we can hear what it is that they think about what it is that we want and what it is they can do to support us to get there. If you haven't told your boss, in reality, they've probably assumed that you're not actually interested and you're quite happy in your job, working hard, doing great. So make sure that you tell them. You can do this really easily. Before your next one-on-one conversation with your manager, give them a heads up that you'd like to talk about your career development, and then in that conversation, highlight really clearly what it is that you're aiming for and ask for their advice. Done. Mistake number 2 in growing your career is that you're too focused on your current role. You believe that hard work should speak for itself and you shouldn't need to do anything more than just a great job, because everyone wants to reward the person that's the best at their job, right? Well, when you become really good at your job, you might discover that people start referring to you as a SME, so a subject matter expert, or as the expert, or the go-to. This is great, and they're probably talking to you about being the person that everyone needs and they don't know how they'd cope without you, and that makes you feel amazing. However, what it can do is actually lock you into being that job only and makes it really hard for other people to see you outside of that job. Oh, but you're the SME and you know everything and we'd never be able to cope without you, and you obviously love it because you're so good at it. Does that sound familiar? And for your manager, they may not have thought about it. Because again, have you had that conversation with them? Have you sat down and said, look, I know I'm doing well at this and I know it really well and I enjoy it. However, what I really want is X. You might need to have that conversation and then start thinking about how all your expert knowledge can be reframed into building you into that new opportunity. So think about how you provide advice or how you often have to support new people coming into the team because you are the SME, and how that's actually a leadership trait. And if you reframe that, if you want a manager's job, that's excellent for showing that you've got leadership capability. Mistake number 3 in building your career is overlooking the real importance of soft skills. Often we focus quite deeply when we think about promotions and getting to the next level on what it is we know about our current job. So it could be how you are an expert in that job, or how you've been in the organisation for this long so you know more about the scope of the work. However, one of the really important key parts of being promoted or getting into leadership is having the ability to actually talk to people, communicate with people, and really have a really tuned intuition around those soft skills. So how do you know if this is you? Well, have a wee reflection about yourself and how you communicate with people in your team and your organisation. Do you have good relationships with people in the team? Do you have connections and relationships with people outside of your team and across your organisation? Do you find yourself a little bit isolated and that you don't really have any connections within your team? If you struggle to have difficult conversations, connect with others, or get feedback that you don't have great empathy or soft skills, then you could be struggling with building your soft skills. If you want to get some tips on how to pick up on those subtle and not so subtle and verbal and non-verbal cues around emotional intelligence, which is all about the soft skills, make sure you check out the video linked on your screen. Now, mistake number 4 in those who really want to advance their career is being way too focused on your own promotion or your own career. Now, this one is so common and so toxic that I have actually done a whole nother video on it. So make sure you check that out. But this is about those who are so focused on getting where they want to be or getting that next promotion that they're actually really annoying their colleagues and manager, and they're kind of leaving a bit of a bad taste behind. How do you know if this is you? Well, if you know deep down that you are ignoring some aspects of your work that are required or your job because you know they're not really going to be noticed, or they're not the things that are going to be the big thing that everybody is going to congratulate you on, you could be on the pathway to being really focused on your career and a little bit ignorant of those that are around you. Perhaps you are in a bit of a tunnel where you don't really see what's happening around you, and you find yourself avoiding people who aren't really going to get you anything out of a conversation, or you're only really connecting with people who can get something for you out of a conversation. This is a bad sign. You could be a little bit too focused on your own promotion. To address this, you really need to refocus on what matters most for your career and recognize that you can't have a positive impact on your job if you're only focused on your own career aspirations. Identify the aspects of the job that help you, build relationships, and create a plan to support your career pathway. If you want support with this, I offer a few options on my website, from the light touch downloadable document that you can work through yourself about your career plan, to a course which is a full leadership career blueprint, or one-on-one coaching. So check out the link in the description. Mistake number 5 is you keep waiting till you feel ready for it. This one can come from feelings of being an imposter. You're waiting until you're ready, or until you think that others will think that you're ready. which means you'll never really be ready. How do you know if this is you? You feel like an imposter. You keep thinking of things that you need to do, complete, or finish before you could possibly go for the next step. Think about what ready actually looks like. Perhaps you feel that you need to complete an accreditation, which is an important thing that is required for the next step. Make sure that what is standing in your way is real. If it is an accreditation and you're already halfway through it, often you can still apply for the next step and talk about how you are going to complete it because you're so committed that you're already halfway through it. And sometimes there's possibilities where you can still get the next step even though you haven't quite finished what you think is standing in the way. Go for that next step. Don't let your own doubt stand in the way of what you really want. Go for it. And thanks very much for watching.